Hello everyone, Michelle here from Gardening TLC and welcome back to my garden. I live in Northern Illinois and I'm in Zone 5. Today we are going to assess the garden. I've had some great successes this year in my garden and I've had some, I'm not going to quite call them a fail, but we're going to call them things that I didn't really like or things that didn't really turn out. Because for me, even if something didn't work out, I still learned something. I learned something that I didn't like. I learned something about how a plant grew, or maybe I learned what I would do differently. So if you want to benefit from my growing experience this year, come along today and let's go check it out. Fall is definitely a great time to walk around and assess your garden because you get a really good feel for how things progressed and grew through the season, how they look now in the fall that they've gone through an entire season, and you kind of get a feel for how that space looks with whatever you did in that space. Maybe you added new plants, maybe you moved things around, maybe you wanted to try and get some layering in there and it just didn't quite work out, or maybe you planted colors together that just didn't go, or maybe you don't like the texture or the way it looks, or something's just off. Definitely fall is a time to walk around and assess. What did you love? What didn't you love? I think life is way too short to keep things in your garden that you don't love. There are plenty of people out there that if you don't like something, you could dig it up and gift it away to somebody. Now, I do think that there are places in your garden where you can move around what you have and make it look better. And I think gardening is always a process where we are continuing to change and develop our gardens to our own visual needs, emotional needs, whatever makes us feel good when we're in the garden, because I don't know, that's what gardening is all about. I garden because I have a love of it and I just love to be in it. And for me, I'm not leaving something in my garden that doesn't perform or that I don't like, but boy, am I willing to try things to see if I like it. So today, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna walk around and let's look at what I loved and let's look at what I didn't love. Definitely a win for me. I absolutely loved the Angelonia interplanted with the Veronica. Now, we have cut this Veronica back twice now, and it's on its third flush of flowers. But isn't this gorgeous, you guys? When the Angelonia was smaller, the Veronica was blooming all over the place, and so that was the dominant star. But when the Veronica had to be cut back, then that Angelonia took off. Oh my goodness. And now it has been a stable anchor in this bed with beautiful color. And aren't those the coolest looking flowers? I just love this. And I would definitely repeat this again. I'm actually just flipping over to the other side of the bed. And this is the Play in the Blue Salvia from Proven Winners. This was the first year that I had planted it. Now, I would call this a success as far as the color in here and just how big these plants got. Along the edge of this border here, this is just 5 plants. And I'm telling you, they performed their little heads off and it was a bee magnet. Now, the one thing I would change, I would plant it maybe just a little bit further back, and I would also only plant 3 instead of 5. I do not like that it flopped over onto the sidewalk right here, and it's kind of covering my sedum and some of my pretty flowers that are along the edge. But all in all, I would say growing this was a success. I just need to rethink about how I put it in the garden and where I put it. I probably will not plant zinnias like this again in this area. This is just too much in a small area. Even though I love all the zinnias, I love all the color, it's a little misproportioned against the path. I had done this the year before the path was here, and I loved it, and it was great. Now, granted, when I did it, they weren't quite this big. I don't know what the deal is. They just grew extra large this year, probably from the amount of rain that we had. But I do have some small Zaharas that are on the front, but you can see the weight of these has really pushed it over onto the path. I'm going to leave it and enjoy the flowers for the rest of the year. I'm still clipping out of this and using the flowers. So I love the zinnias. I just don't love the look in this spot. Their success this year, and there are 3 of them in this pathway. One would be the actual pathway itself. I think that this is definitely a success. I love this area. We lined it with boulders, backfilled it with compost, and then planted it up. We have a mix of perennials, annuals, and shrubs in this area. Now, yes, there's a heavy presence of annuals in here, but it was the first year that we grew it, so I probably planted more than I will in future years coming up. One of my favorite plants that I planted this year is definitely the silver sage, or this Salvia argentata. I actually got the seeds from Select Seeds, grew them in little trays, and then transplanted them up here into this garden bed. I absolutely love that. So for me, that was a great success. I will definitely repeat and grow that one again. But isn't this a great looking pathway? My next great success this year was growing these Bidens. I have grown Bidens in the past, and I've always put them in pots, and they've never performed as well as I wanted them to. Well, this year, oh my goodness, I put them in the ground, and look at these babies go. I absolutely love the little delicate flowers on them. I like the way they mounded and grew. I like that they continually bloomed through pretty much the whole season. I didn't have a lull or a lag in those. I've got a little trio of them down here as well. So definitely loving the Bidens. I don't even know which cultivar this is. It's just a pink one. And it was like a happy accident. They were left over in the greenhouse. Nobody bought them. So I brought them over here and threw them in the ground. It was like, oh my goodness, just look at that. Oh, I love this. Let's talk about one of my bigger disappointments. Now, granted, there might be 20 flowers on this Thunbergia now, but from every other picture that I have seen in Garden Gab of people that were sending me their Thunbergias, I would call this a big fat fail. There are hardly any flowers on this thing, and it did take it all summer to totally fill my arch, which I do love that, but I don't love the fact that it's very sparse in the flower department. So for me, I would call this a fail, and I will not plant this cultivar again. Now, I might try a Thunbergia again, maybe not on the arbor, maybe in a different spot, and I will definitely try a different color. I wouldn't call this next one a fail, but I would definitely call it a garden challenge. As you can see, my dogwoods here are looking pretty stripped. So I got sawflies this year, and they really got away from me before I could treat them and get on top of it. I did not lose my dogwoods, and this is the year that I will be cutting them back, but they are looking pretty wretched right now. And even the ones over here aren't looking great. I do have a case of powdery mildew going on over here. So I'm really happy that this is the year that I'm cutting them back to the ground. And I will use all of the red twig dogwood in my winter pots, and I'll use it over at the store. So we're going to get good use out of everything. But right now, this looks pretty horrible in the garden. Another thing in my garden that I'm not loving is right here. This is a totem pole from Proven Winners, and I definitely do not like the way this is splaying out. I just like panicums that grow straight up and down and are nice and erect. More than likely, this will get cut back and dug out of the garden and moved to a different spot where if it flops open, it doesn't make as big of a difference. But in here in my cottage garden, it just looks too sloppy, too messy. It's flopping over on other plants. I've actually had to cut some of the plumes out. So not loving this plant in here. And I'm actually disappointed that it's called totem pole and it's splaying open like this. Maybe it's because we had so much rain this year, but definitely not impressed with this one. I would rather put a northwind here, which I know will stand up. So yeah, this one I'm not loving either. You know, this might seem like a really weird little thing, but check out I think this is a philodendron. I've had this plant since I lived in South Carolina 25 years ago. So it's a pretty old plant. I've potted it up twice. This is the perfect place for this plant. It has probably gotten 10 new leaves on it. Last year I had it up on the front porch, and it's pretty big to be up there because that's kind of a narrow area, and here it really had room to grow. And I've decided, oh my goodness, it absolutely loves this spot. So we are going to leave it here, and it is still pushing out new leaves. Look at that nice new glossy one there, and look down there. There's another new one starting to unfurl as well. So this guy, incredibly happy here. I love this plant. Isn't it awesome? There's another big fat experiment that I'm not in love with. So we cleared this area this year. My herb garden used to be in here. And as you can see, I obviously didn't get all those little bulbs from the chives because they are still in there. We decided to plant this up as a pollinator bed this year while we were waiting for this to break down. So we cleared all of the herbs, we laid cardboard, topped it with compost, and then I planted seeds and little starter plants. Definitely not in love with this sloppy look right here. Now, I've been cutting flowers out of here and using them, and I've been cutting the amaranthus, but that stuff was really big and misproportioned, and it's just sloppy. It doesn't look good. I still can't make up my mind what I want to do up here. You guys can weigh in on that. What do you think? Any ideas? My focus next year is going to be this deck. We are going to be doing things on the deck next year to make this an inviting place to want to be. Right now, I kind of avoid it. I sit up on the front porch more than I ever sit back here, even though it's beautiful back here. Now, I did create myself a little nook over here where the swing, that's still not here, is going to go. So I do like that. But I want to really focus on this area next year and making this wall look a lot better. So I'm not loving anything about what's in the two-tier wall. Definitely a big win for me this year was getting this area done, putting these rock steps in, and creating my no-till bed and getting it ready for next year. I am so excited that underneath this maple tree, it is not a dust bowl with dying grass underneath it anymore. We have turned it into a place of beauty. By the time we're done, it'll be this private little cozy nook. And if we give some time for the plants to grow, this will be a lush, beautiful area. Next year, we will plant up this area right here along the arborvitaes. And oh my goodness, I would say this is definitely a big fat win. Absolutely love this area. And oh my gosh, do I love these rock steps. All right, win, 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 win. This pot right here has been my favorite pot of the year. I would say this is my 2025 recipe winner. Absolutely have enjoyed this pot all year, and it's a pretty simple pot. I love the glossy leaves that you get from this Surefire begonia, and this is the cherry cordial. It has been fabulous all season long. We also have a coleus in here, and it is from Proven Winners, and the begonia is from Proven Winners too. This is called Wicked Witch. And just look at that leaf structure. Look at those frilly little edges. Look at that lime green on there. I love the way this grew in the pot. It's just gorgeous. And then finally, we have another coleus in here, and this is a trailing coleus. This one is called Wedding Train. Isn't that great? I love these three together. I would definitely repeat this pot. I would have to say that my least favorite pots this year, believe it or not, were my sidewalk pots. And it isn't because of how big they got or how much color they're putting off. It was actually the coleus that I chose. So for the first time, I tried to do the coleus from Proven Winners called Dipped in Wine. Now, I have grown this coleus before in other pots that were bigger than the one that I put this in. And I knew that it didn't grow up in a mounding habit, that it kind of grew up on individual bracts. But I'm not in love with how this looks. And I do not like that it has the flowers all over it. I've been pinching flowers off of it since August. So I would say this isn't my favorite look for how these pots should look. I really like the mounded coleus in the center, and I like the impatiens spilling out the bottom. These kind of all interwove together, and it's not my favorite look. It's kind of sloppy, and I do not like the flowers on it. So for those of you that love coleus and you don't want the flowers, I like the Color Blaze series because they don't push the flowers out until the very end of the season. But this one, Dipped in Wine, yeah, even though I really like the petal and I like this in a different situation, I do not like it in this pot. So for me, I would not repeat this pot or this coleus in this pot. Another win for me, believe it or not, even though you're looking at this and my hostas look kind of tired, is this ground cover that we put in. Oh my goodness, it is really taking off. I love it. This is the big root geranium, or a geranium mycorrhizum, and this is the Bevan's variety. It's the same one that we put over underneath the maple tree that we just did, but it is taking off. Now, the true test will be if it makes it through the winter, it gets its little red color on it, it's looking good in the spring. That will be the true test, but right now, I'm pretty stinking impressed because last year, there was nothing growing in this whole area right here. It was just a blank slot with roots sticking up all over the place. So yeah, we're loving this. Here I planted 3 dahlias because I thought I would give it a try. I did the dark foliage one with the yellow flowers because I thought, you know what, I'll love the contrast of that. Well, I don't know that I'd do it again. It's been very sporadic on the flowering. It's never been like this big, glorious massive flowers, so I'm under impressed. I like the dark foliage, don't get me wrong, especially against the Argentina salvia right here, but I'm not overly impressed with how many flowers it produced. So I would not plant this plant again. Maybe I'll try a different dahlia. It just won't be this one. Here's a win for you. This is a sedum called Atlantis. I love the bright color of this. I need to put more of it in my garden. It is absolutely gorgeous. And I love it up against my knockout roses here. It has been this bright little spot in the garden, and everyone who's come to the garden has stopped, looked at it, and wanted to know what it was. So for me, I need more of this in other places. This front garden has definitely been one of my favorite places this year. We took this 2 years ago from a hot mess into something that I really enjoy. It takes a little planning, a little time. You've got to let things grow up. You've got to be willing to try things. You've got to be willing to fail. You've got to be willing to succeed and enjoy it. I'm telling you, this is now one of my favorite gardens. I have another place that's really awesome as well. My second favorite area this year is definitely the passageway garden. This has been for me the biggest success I've had in quite a while. It was a pretty big project and it took me 2 years to get it done, but oh my goodness, it was well worth it. It's everything I wanted it to be. I'm so excited with how it looks. Yeah, big fat win. I have one more win, and this was a good one for me, and that is the she shed. I have used the heck out of this she shed. Let me turn the light on. I love my little she shed. I think that this is one of my favorite places to hang out. I do projects in here. I come out here and just piddle around. I love being out in this area. Here's the little planter that we did. It's looking really good. So I'm so happy with my she shed, and I'm going to keep developing the she shed, you know, as the years go on, and it'll change, and the functionality of it will change, and how it looks will change. But oh my goodness, I love this area. That's all I've got for today, you guys. I love being able to walk around my garden and go, yep, nope, change, leaving it, love it, don't love it. Those are the things that I love to do in the fall. I hope you get your hands in the dirt today. I am Michelle, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.